Yo, get in, chop.
I'm a bit self-aware, sometimes it's fucked up, but life is gonna lie, so I ain't gonna slow up. I'm on a mission to change the face of mental health, kicking knowledge to my people, cause you know that health is wealth. It's your lucky day, cause you tuned into the greatest. Out here striving to survive, sometimes we fake it till we make it. If your mental health is slipping, then please don't touch that dial, go on and grab a cup of tea. Yo, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Trudy LPC, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Self-Aware Naked Podcast. We have such an amazing season thus far this year, and this particular episode will not disappoint as well. I am excited to speak with today's guest. Her name is Lakeisha Varner. She is a licensed professional counselor with over 22 years of experience in the field. She's also a certified professional counselor supervisor. She is someone that I've known over the last couple of years, and it's really been amazing getting to know her. But I'm really looking forward to seeing a new side of her today during today's episode. She is one half of the dynamic duo fitness team with her mom, a business that they started where they do a lot of fitness and all kinds of hip hop things. She is a certified extreme hip hop instructor, and she just does a lot of things. But we're also going to talk a little bit about her journey as a burn victim and how she's been able to overcome her traumas. So without further ado, please welcome to the Self-Aware Naked Podcast, Lakeisha Varner, aka LV. Welcome to the Self-Aware Naked Podcast, LV. How you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me. I am super excited to be here. I am Lakeisha Varner, but I go by LV. Thank you for that. Yes, wonderful introduction.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you being here, LV, and I will reference you as such. But we start by having you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Let's see. Born in Charleston, raised in New York City. I represent Harlem because that's where I spent the most time in graduated high school.
Okay.
But I've been in the Atlanta area for over 20 years, followed my mom here. And so I'm here. I've always been a nurturer, a helper.
Okay.
So that led me to the mental health field. It was so natural and intuitive. And the fitness part, a lot of that comes from following behind my mom, but also it's another natural kind of, just naturally it goes with being a nurturer, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So anyway, that's how I ended up in fitness. So I'm stumbling over my words here. Those are the nerves, and it's okay. Just growing so much, like coming into my own and putting all of my experiences together. My trauma experiences, my education, where I grew up in that background. And all of that is LV.
Okay.
And the therapist that I am and the fitness enthusiast that I am.
Okay.
So I'm also in the process of rebranding myself a bit because I want to use my experiences, especially the trauma experience, the reason why I'm in EMDR as a client. I want to be able to use that to help other burn survivors. And I've never been at a place in my life where I was able to communicate that verbally. This is very new. And so it's kind of happening even as we speak, like over the past few days, a light bulb has come on and it's just all of the pieces are coming together. And so anyway, I got so many thoughts flowing.
I got you.
And yeah, so
yeah.
Remember I told you. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, I mean, it's fine. And again, like I said, it's just me and you. We're good. And I want to kind of really talk a little bit more about that part of your journey, because you said this is something that you're newly opening up about. And I mean, obviously, kudos to you for being open and wanting to kind of help other people. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your experience? Because I feel like this is pretty new information for me as well. I don't think we've ever talked about that.
Mm-mm. No, it's not really something that I talk about. And although I'm a burn survivor, right? And I'll give a little more about that in just a minute. But it's in the past, it wasn't something that I wanted people to know about me, although some of the scars are visible, right? It's still not something that in my past, I didn't want to be visible. So I did a lot of hiding. I still have some of those hiding behaviors. And so that wouldn't be something that I would have talked about with most people.
Gotcha.
So, it's a huge step, and I'm super excited for what I am evolving into. But my burn story, right? Just the abbreviated version. When I was 3 years old, I was burned in a bathtub, and it was hot water. The hot water that was running out of the faucet to make a bath, just to imagine it. My 3-year-old self somehow ended up in that bathtub. And so the burns I sustained, are from the soles of my feet, my toes. Think about hot water and it boiling. Yeah. So, I don't have all my toes. My legs are scarred heavily, my backside, and this right hand that is the most visible, right? And so I was 3, so very tiny.
Yeah.
And the adults in my life that were around were never able to share with me exactly what happened, how that came to be. Gotcha. And so, again, I was 3, and that was so shocking to the body that I don't remember any of it. I was 3 again.
Right.
So the memory. So I wake up each day with the visible scars, the aches, the pains, the limitations from them, with no cognition of how they occurred, only bits and pieces, and how the human brain tries to make sense of things, looking at how my scars are, where they're not. How did I end up there? So anyway, it was inevitable that I become a therapist, I think, after that experience, right? Yeah. And also inevitable that I seek healing, not only for my current self, but I'm childless also. But my thoughts were, I have to heal myself if I'm going to help others heal. Right. If I want to become a mom, I'd have to be healed. I could not burden my offspring with the burdens that I was holding. And I'll say currently still holding, because this is a work in progress. It's literally every day, the thoughts are just nonstop. Okay. And then the feelings, I mean, your body remembers and stores trauma, even if you can't remember. And so that's how I came to be scarred, have those burns. I spent a lot of time in and out of the hospital, of course, trying to repair, being so small. There wasn't much, skin that was not burned that they could use to help the others. So, I mean, they even had to shave, my hair to try to use my scalp skin on part, it was in the 80s. Yeah. In New York, and we are Black and we were poor. Okay. So that's just what it was. And so lots of time in and out of the hospital, a lot of time when I should have been in school, at to school in the hospital, because these were third-degree burns over, I'd say 80% of my tiny little body. And so there's so much that goes with that, but that's how that's what I know about my burn story, and that's how I can verbalize it right now. I'm still unpacking that.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Because as an adult, the human brain just wants things to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many gaps. But my body stores the trauma.
Right.
And it comes out in so many ways, these patterns that I just keep seeing being repeated in my life, behaviors that I'm aware of that, I've displayed that I don't like, and so I'm very internal, I think a lot and I judge myself a lot. And so, anyway,
gotcha.
I think it makes me a great therapist, but I am so grateful that I am a client.
Yes.
And, I've done talk therapy for years, and that ain't it. Not for what I'm dealing with.
Right.
And so I'm grateful that I discovered EMDR. And even though it's challenging and costly, I'm sticking with it.
I got
because I want to be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
And so, when I mentioned all the pieces coming together, and I mentioned hiding behaviors, it just occurred to me, I feel like it was yesterday or the day before, that you spent all this time hiding and all this time feeling negative about the experience that you had, about these scars that you have. But this is a blessing, and it's your way to help others heal. It was placed on my 3-year-old self for a reason.
Yeah.
And as an adult, I just keep trying to figure out, how did I end up as a therapist? Now I'm in fitness, and how do I tie this all together to help? Well, you got to stop hiding. You got to step out and be bold and be brave and share your story, because there are so many people, especially the young people, that there's not much representation of burn survivors, or just there are a lot of people that are dealing with things that they don't have a voice for, or they haven't found the courage. And perhaps it's me that could help them find theirs. And so if that's my gift to the world, if that's the only thing that I leave behind, I'm grateful. My job is done. But I've got a lot to do.
Yeah.
To get to that.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely on the path, and I commend you for being able to even step out today to share that part of your story, because I know that that's not easy to kind of open up and be that vulnerable with the world. And there are a lot of people out there who have experienced burns and traumas of different types. I have a very close friend of mine who was a burn victim when she was in her adolescence, and believe it or not, she wasn't in Harlem, she was in Brooklyn. And so I don't, it's I know her experience of going through and recovering from that, and the way that it impacted her, scars on her skin and things of that nature being talked about and ridiculed because, the burns made her darker. And that has been, like things that we've discussed. And so I think it's important for representation for anyone who has experienced any type of trauma to be able to understand that there's support out there for them. But what I find unique about your experience is, you had this trauma, you said, to 80% of your body. And now so much of what you do is about maintaining a healthy body and teaching others to enjoy being fit. I don't know if that is what led you to it, but I am a little bit curious to know, how did you and your mom kind of get this whole dynamic duo thing going? Because I love it first and foremost, but I think it's interesting with some of what you've been through now, knowing that part of your journey.
Great question. Yes, dynamic duo fitness. We are a mother-daughter fitness duo. And let's see. My mom was a fitness instructor for, I would say, a lot of my adult life, not growing up or anything like that. But in my adult life, I watched her engage in her fitness journey, probably from her 40s. And so I was with her most of those steps, just following in her foot, supporting her classes. And so watching her find her strength through fitness, it helped me discover my physical strength. Mm-hmm. I was a very timid child. I'm still a timid person, but I'm finding my inner strength. But I was very timid. In my mind, I was weak. People looked through me, and I was invisible. And so watching her find her power, it started with cardio. No, it started with kickboxing. My baby brother was in Taekwondo.
Okay.
And so I joined Taekwondo, girl, me. And then I learned that I'm actually strong. I'm not like I was this prissy girl, like this, I don't know what image, I fit so many. But back then I was just in my mind, weak, prissy, girly girl, not physical, not strong.
That's definitely not you today.
Girl, it is not. I am so grateful. God, thank you. Yeah, but my mom showed me that we are strong. Not only growing up, watching her struggles, but physically now we're in this dojo and we are kicking ass, and finding that inner strength. So it was that really lit a fire in me. It inspired me to keep chasing that power. Like we used to do cardio kickboxing and punch on the bags, and I used to fuck them bags up. Like, don't put nobody on the other side because they're gonna be against the wall with the bag against them. I'm serious, but that was releasing, releasing. And so anyway, it was that helped me discover that strength, and watching her find her passion for helping other people. Of course, the women gravitate towards her, young and old, and so it was really her love of fitness that drew me. And then so we were both, she had a fitness studio. We're fast forwarding. She had a fitness studio, her and my stepdad. And I said, I'm going to get certified in extreme hip hop so that I can help their fitness studio.
Okay.
Right. Well, that fitness studio ended up going under. And so she still has this passion for fitness. Now I'm a certified instructor. Now I can see that I can actually do this because, again, I was a timid person, a background person, and instructing requires you to be before people,
right,
in the front with people eyeballing you, and they can see everything about you, including what I wish to hide.
Yeah.
Right. So all of that fueled, it gave me the confidence to become an extreme hip hop instructor. And then an opportunity, a woman that mom and I, we played kickball for this team, Kick Astros. We won like so many different seasons, by the way. We were the only mother-daughter duo on the team, by the way. And we played for about 7 years, kicking ass. Was it 7 or 10 years? Anyway, one of our teammates, she is a property lease, a leasing agency. And she said, hey, I have this space for lease, and just threw it out there. And then mom and I were just like, wait a minute. It's time. And it literally just happened.
Wow.
That we're like, oh, okay, we're going to use the space. We're going to use the parking lot until the space is ready. We were holding classes in the parking lot. Then we, COVID hit. That's right. And we were doing it in our garage and virtually. That did really well. And then we got into the space. So that's how Dynamic Duo Fitness came about. we always knew we'd start a business together. We didn't know what it would be.
Okay.
We didn't know when or how it would happen. It's not like we had a business plan and Dynamic Dual Fitness, the name. We had none of that.
Okay.
And it literally just manifested. We're in our third year. We're in our second location. That first building ended up closing. So we had to relocate. But we're in our new space. We offer an array of services. And she and I teach most of the classes ourselves. We only contract the cycling team, SBR, and we have a front office manager. She also teaches cycling. Otherwise, mom is teaching most of those classes, and then I'm teaching the others. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really amazing. Like the story of how that came together. I love that you guys are a mother-daughter duo, though. That it's always interesting to kind of see your videos and you be killing it. I'm like, I wish I had the energy to work out as hard as you guys be going in those videos. So I really love that. And I know that physical self-care piece is so important in how we take care of our body. But sometimes the mind is what we struggle with. And I know that that's a big part. You spoken about like kind of questioning yourself a bit and really like, maybe some negative self-talk. Like, is that something that you still struggle with? Or is that something that you feel like the EMDR is kind of smoothing that part out for you?
I definitely still struggle with it. I think that is going to be ongoing. However, EMDR has helped to like reduce the intensity. Of you know how, I don't know, if it's fresh, it might feel really hard to even think about a thing. Or to even come up with the words for how you feel about a thing. But as you keep exposing yourself to the thing, it loses its intensity. Right. So while I still have negative self-talk, and I still go through it up here. It happens less frequently, and the intensity is less.
Gotcha. Yeah, it takes a lot to learn to reframe your thoughts. Like I struggle with negative self-talk for a very long time. Like I'm coming up on 8 years this year with a VCL. And I remember when I first started there, like I didn't even know who I was in a lot of different ways. Like I was accomplished in a lot of ways, but I feel like I had struggled so much with confidence because of broken relationships and, not feeling like I was good enough because of being abandoned as a child. And so my negative self-talk was always, you're not good enough. You don't deserve to be loved. And it really took my wife being able to be like, look, you need to go get some therapy and work on that, because I'm not going to be able to deal with that version of you because you're doubting me because you doubt yourself. And so I think it's just so much work that goes into it. And, I've told you I'm interested in EMDR. It's just, financially the way my bank account is set up. And but
there's a training coming up in July too. If you could probably break it down and save for it, but I would encourage you to.
No, I want to go as a client. I have no desire to do
to be trained. Okay.
I don't want to be trained. I want to do actual EMDR because I have like a lot of trauma and stuff myself. And I love my therapist. I do talk therapy, and it works. It works. It is effective for me. I want to try something different, to maybe get to the root of my trauma. Because a lot of my trauma is also like poverty mindset, kind of being stuck in that space of trauma where like I have a lot of anxiety on certain days and there's no reason. Like I'm safe, but my body still does not feel safe. So, have you struggled with that safety kind of feeling? Does that?
That's where EMDR would benefit you, I think, because that is what we spend most of our time on. Honestly, it is the body, the body's response. It's like we are looking for them in EMDR, and you just, we have so many things that we do to try to protect ourselves. A lot of times I'll get close to the root and then just back all the way off, shut all the way down, holding my breath. And, my stomach is growling audibly, like you can hear, and so it really takes you being in tune with, and your therapist saying, okay, where do you feel it in your body? Or they're observing you during the session anyway, and they're stimulating you bilaterally, either the music or the tapping or this thing, like, watch, and it's just like, and what's coming up for you? What's the hardest part about that? A lot of times, choked up just thinking about the thing, and find a way to just push it back down. And that's probably why it's taking a long time. It's so deeply rooted, and there's so many layers and levels, but definitely trying to get it up out of your body, trying to release it, so that you're able to, you have the brain space to think. When I'm in those sessions, I'm like, gosh, my head is hurting. Like I said, my throat is closed up, and my stomach, and that gives you a hint, hints about where the trauma is stored, and it's very interesting. I was like, it's kind of like some mad scientist stuff, like what, how does this work? How does you sitting in front of me saying, watch this thing, or, tapping on, or having this music, and thinking about a stimulus, right? How does that help you release this energy, the feelings stored in your body? I don't know, but it does.
Wow.
I'm still trying to, like they are so exhausting because you're just sitting there, right? But you're not. You're doing so much work, trying to stick with the thing that makes you feel the worst, and then being able to let it out, not push it down. You got to let it, if it's coming out, if you're crying, you need to cry. If you're screaming, you need to scream. If your ball's up on the floor, well, we need to get you up off of the floor.
Right.
So, but it is simply amazing. I think too, the relationship, or the skill set of the therapist. But also there's something so powerful about being able to trust in that relationship, because in talk therapy, I mean, you're vulnerable, but I think this is another level because your body is telling on you, and they're just sitting there watching you, at your lowest. At some points during therapy, you are at your lowest, and physically, I mean, the ugly cry, the snot, you might even vomit. I remember once I was in a session, and I mean, your body just says, the body is just amazing. And this right here is so amazing. But yeah, definitely hard work. It's like being in battle, but it's all for a good reason, because then the next time you go back and you talk about that stimulus, it may not hold the same intensity.
Gotcha.
And then you're just like, whoa, okay, well, what changed? What changed is that reprocessing is happening.
Right.
Through the bilateral stimulation, your brain is reprocessing the memory. And then it just reduces its emotional intensity. So it doesn't hurt as much.
Gotcha.
And so then you have the space in your brain to actually think about the experience in a different light.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like a very interesting experience. One I'm definitely interested in trying. I don't know about the throwing up part. That part might, not
control it. You cannot control
listen,
it.
I don't know if I could be that vulnerable, but I mean, I get it. So I really appreciate you kind of sharing that journey though, because like I hear a lot about it. I remember being an intern and we first got the little light machine that some people use in terms of that and like being able to, try that out. I could have got certified then, but I was like, I don't know what this is. So that probably was a very poor choice for me at that particular point in my life. But what I will say is it's something that I think that people should definitely be open to trying, especially if they have a lot of trauma in their life. And I know I definitely have had my fair share of trauma. So I appreciate you opening up about that experience. But I do want to shift gears a bit and ask you, you shared a lot. So, that might have been your self-aware experience, but I want to know, how do you personally connect with the idea of being self-aware and fucked up?
See. Yeah, we talked a lot about, we talked a lot about it already. Definitely a self-aware, definitely self-aware, and definitely fucked up in a lot of ways.
Okay.
But I give myself grace and focus on the end result, what it is I hope, the mark that I hope to leave on the world. You know, we're humans, we're going to be effed up.
Yeah.
That's inevitable. But the key is to give yourself grace and keep working to try to become the best version of yourself. And that's just an ongoing journey. And you have to be able to find humor in it.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm grateful for having the self-awareness. I couldn't imagine what I'd be like if I lacked insight. That would be really fucked up. I'd probably be hurting more people than I help. So anyway, those are just some of my thoughts about how I relate to being self-aware and fucked up.
Well, I appreciate you sharing, and I appreciate your openness just throughout the our talk today, and just being even wanting to come on the show. I definitely appreciate you being interested in that as well. So, how can people connect with you if they want to visit your gym, if they want to book you for services? Like, how can they reach out to you and connect with you?
Awesome. Thanks for asking. You can hit me up on all my social medias. So I have Instagram. It's LV _ extreme hip hop ATL. And that's XTREME hip hop ATL. Also, the real dynamic duo fitness _1. That's on Instagram. So that's the real dynamic duo fitness _1. You could visit our website, dynamicduofitness1.com, or email us at dynamicduofitness1.com. Facebook, Lakeisha Marie, or Dynamic Duo Fitness 1. Okay, yeah, check me out. Follow me. I'm in the process of rebranding myself. Through Dynamic Duo Fitness, I want to have more of a focus on movement and mental wellness, movement and mindfulness. I want to marry movement and mindfulness so that I can do some wellness coaching around the two that's not therapy and that's not personal training. So something kind of in the middle. I'm working on rebranding myself and offering something for trauma survivors, burn survivors, or people who are stressed and burned out. They want to move, they want to be a better version of themselves, but they're stuck. I'm trying to rebrand and package something just for them. I know all about being in that space, okay, and because of my education and experiences and credentials, I think I'm a great person to help people navigate that space. And so I'm working on that. And so follow me and stay tuned for what's to come. Now, I can't wait to get you in the gym. I cannot wait to get you in a class.
I'll just child, listen.
It will be fun. It will be fun. But no, I see that you're DJing and all that stuff too. We have a space for the DJ. Sometimes we have classes that require a DJ. So how dope would that be? Dynamic Dual Fitness, where Black owned, female owned. You're a Black female and a DJ. That would be super dope collab.
I mean, we can collab. I'm just not about to be working out. I can tell you that. My wife might work out, but as for me and this body that's tore down, but no, definitely would love to partner on some things in the future for sure. But I really appreciate your time and your openness and just all that you do. Thank you for sharing space with me today and just opening up and being vulnerable. Guys, please make sure that you connect with LV. The information of how you can connect with her will be in the description of this episode. Also, be sure to follow me, Tree the LPC, on all social media platforms under the handle Tree the LPC. Until next time, be safe, be well, and make sure that you take care of your mental health.